Thank you very much, Thibaut, and thank you for your care of our program and of you, of our students. It is now time for the valedictorian. Before we get to announce who the valedictorian speaker are, let me start by recognizing those of you who have been exceptionally good and outstanding, and being part of the Dean's List means at INSEAD to be in the top 10% of this very, very elite student body. So let's please show the Dean's List students, and can I ask them to please stand up and be recognized? Now, among those, the very highest GPA are your valedictorian speakers, and I'm very happy to announce that this year there are two of you. It's Lucia Hazelman from Germany and Ywood van der Waal from Belgium. Can I please ask Lucia and Ywood to join me on stage to give the valedictorian address, please?
Hi, everyone.
Dear Dean Miehoff, Dean Peyer, Mr. Bagat, faculty, staff, family, friends, and most importantly, MIM class of 23. We are honored to stand here in front of you today to reflect on the roller coaster that is last year. From starting our life in Fontainebleau with Launch Week, until this very last week in Singapore. It has been an amazing journey so far. I have said many times to Lucia I wanted to be valedictorian, but just to do the speech. But what do I say now? Luckily, we stand here as co-valedictorians. So in true INSEAD spirit, we could brainstorm together on this speech. Lucia Hatzelman, Ewout van der Waal. Although our backgrounds are similar in STEM and our names notoriously hard to pronounce, our journeys have been very different, just like all of your journeys at INSEAD. Today, we want to reflect on the year through our personal experiences, our challenges, and the first steps we had to take. And we hope that these stories will feel familiar to you. So, let us take you back to the beginning of our year, August 2022.
The first step I had to take at INSEAD was before the program even started. I still remember arriving at the park next to the canal at the chateau on my first evening in Fonty. In true INSEAD fashion, there were about 50 people already there, drinking, eating, and talking. I had to bring up a lot of courage to go into that group, full of new people. Everybody was from a different background, from different cultures. What if I wouldn't know how to speak to them? But I left the evening having met a lot of future friends, maybe having forgotten most of their names. From that moment onwards, it got easier. Every evening at Glasgow, every event at INSEAD, every trip, like the ski trip, Bali, or even Dubai. I realized that in a community such as the MIM, everyone is always welcome. I am forever grateful to call myself part of a community where stepping out of your comfort zone becomes the new comfortable.
I also had to step outside of my comfort zone. Fresh out of engineering, I came into this brand new environment. And I remember at the beginning of INSEAD, I felt like an imposter. I had no work experience. I lived my entire life in Belgium, and I didn't have the most impressive track record of extracurriculars. On the first day of class, I noticed how much better everyone was. Students at INSEAD are smart, they're fast to answer, and They like to talk a lot. I could not keep up. Why was I admitted to INSEAD in the first place? And at the end of the first day, I remember Thibault asking us who had not spoken up in class. So I raised my hand. He encouraged us to speak, to engage, because each one of us has something to contribute. So the next day, I raised my hand and I spoke up. I participated 3 times even that day. It took me some time to find my place at INSEAD, but after that first step, I never stopped participating. Ever since, I'm proud to say I hosted my own event. I did stand-up comedy, and I tutored some people on the technical courses of INSEAD.
And thank God there were people tutoring others. Because for me, actually for both of us, every new course was daunting. I wasn't sure what to expect or how to tackle so much new information. These were the moments where I really saw the INSEAD spirit come to life. For any topic I struggled with, particularly financial accounting and valuation, there were MIMs who knew more and who took out time to help me understand even the basics. I had never experienced something like this before. I want to thank all of you for helping Ewout, myself, and any other MIM here when a course became overwhelming or confusing. Now, let's talk about home groups. I believe most home groups started out a little patchy. I know at least we did. Makes sense if you throw together 5 people from different nationalities. But now, these are some of the best groups to work with. How has that happened? We made it through Markstret, which could make
Or break.
a home group. Throughout the stressful times in P1, we all learned what our strengths and weaknesses were. We subsequently were able to leverage upon the strength and support the weaknesses of our team members, building an environment where every team member become their best self.
Through that support of our home groups, period groups, friends and family, Lucia and I stand here today as academic valedictorians. But did you know that I had my first ever job interview just last week? That's right. For me, that step was enormous and difficult. Not knowing where to go, I had the luminous idea of starting to case, like so many of you here in the room, applying to consulting. But even that, first starting to case, was a very tough step for me to make. It's frustrating to be bad at something. Luckily, there were those closest to me that helped me take that step. Without hesitation, INSEADers will help those in need of it. I could not feel more supported, so I sincerely thank all of those close to me for supporting me throughout. By helping me take my first steps, you made me run.
Where Ewout was struggling with starting off his interviews, I was facing a completely different problem. I was confused about what to do and where to even start. I think a lot of us have been there over the year. And when you are faced with a hill of different ideas and opportunities, it is very difficult to take that first step and then keep moving. But from the beginning, there were MIMs who helped me navigate the jungle that is networking and career search. Even more importantly, I had those close to me who were supporting me throughout the year at every, but what if I did this? What if I did that? They didn't get annoyed, kept me moving, and guided me to stay on my path. I cannot thank you guys enough for the support throughout the year. I am sure that each and every one of you was faced with an instance of having to take a leap, being unsure on how to network, how to start the first case, or how to even send that first application into a new industry. Luckily, there was always a MIM to share the burden with.
A burden we all shared was moving abroad. I was born and raised my entire life in Belgium, studied there for 5 years, so living abroad was scary. Where to find housing? Where do I get my groceries? Do the people there speak English or any other language I know? It's a massive step, but one that we all took together. We explored so many new things, new countries, new ideas. For me, this was my first step into the world, and I can tell you that it's beautiful. Setting that first foot inside a local French bakery, smelling the fresh croissants and pastries, or the first time eating at a Singaporean hawker center and not finding a spot. For some, their first time seeing snow. For others, tasting the richness of global cuisines. Those differences are not what separated us, but what united us. Having stepped into the world, I don't want to leave it anymore. It became a part of me and set me on a path to become a global citizen. And man, am I glad that I took that step. Before our closing remarks, let's take a moment to acknowledge and celebrate all your guys' first steps. So MIM23, can all of you that took a first step at INSEAD stand up, please? Keep standing, keep standing. Dear all, take a good look at our amazing cohort, MIM23. MIM23, take a good look at each other, hopefully without too many tears in the eyes. What you see is hopefully exactly what we see. Brave people, every single one of them. All of them overcame the hardest challenge there is to face, taking that first step. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for our courageous cohort, MIM23.
MIM23, you can sit down again. MIM23. All of our first steps taken this year have led us here. We have been fortunate to have studied at INSEAD. That comes with a responsibility. The responsibility to give it our all, to achieve something great. We are young enough to be shaped, and young enough to shape the world as we envision it. So build your path. Take those steps into any direction you want. Do I know exactly what I want or where I want to go? No. And that's fine. We know at the moment everything feels uncertain. We have to go back out there in the world. But this is not the end of INSEAD. It is not the end of the MIM. It is just the beginning of our journey as alumni. It is the beginning of us bringing INSEAD into the world. There will be many more challenges, however big, however small. But always remember, we can face any challenge together. Help others take their first steps, so together we can run. We had the best year of our lives at INSEAD, and believe that all of you did too. People say INSEAD stands for I never stop eating and drinking. All we can say is, INSEAD,
I never should have expected anything differently.
Thank you.